Hey, how y'all doing? This is Mongo Slade, and today we're going to talk about the five underutilized WWE superstars and what we should do with them. Now, this is just a little bit of fantasy booking. I'm not under any illusions that all my ideas are going to be great, and I'm also just playing around with the format a little bit, just trying to vary things up because I've been doing a lot of political heavy stuff. So let's do a little bit of fantasy booking, which is like regular wrestling stuff. So this is basically gonna be me picking out five, and because you guys are not the boss to me, I picked six. So we're gonna talk about six different people, and just give some ideas of what they could be doing compared to what they are doing right now. You ready? Okay, so number five is Mickie James. So Mickie James has really been lost in the shuffle. They're kind of not going in the old route. Mickie James is kind of considered a little bit older. I don't know how old she is. I think she's about 40, maybe early 40s. But her recent showings on Raw have not been all that good. I mean, they've been okay, but in a division where okay is not good enough anymore, with the bar that's being set by like Asuka and Sasha and Bailey, being okay is not really good anymore. And then when Beth Phoenix, not Beth Phoenix, goddamn it, Becky Lynch and Charlotte come back, it's a completely different ball game. She's really going to be lost. So I think that the best way to use Mickie James now is to use her as a mentor. I think I may have mentioned this in a previous video, but I actually like the idea of Mickie James being in the tag team division with a mentor. And there's a couple of women who you could probably use. Chelsea Green is one of them. I haven't seen Chelsea Green since she quit the Robert Stone brand on NXT. I think that was around the time she was supposed to get brought up. I haven't seen her since. I don't know if she's injured or what's going on with her. There's also been other women who were on NXT that could be very useful for Mickie James to be as a tag team partner, to be a mentor to, or if you just want to take somebody who is sort of also underutilized on SmackDown or Raw. I don't remember what brand she's even on, but if you just want to take one of those ladies and just pair her with Mickie James, I think Mickie James is move into the tag team division is a good reset for her career. And I honestly think that she could use a heel turn too, because right now she's kind of been babyface ish. She kind of needs a little bit more edge to her, and something has to change because her current situation is not looking the best. So let's move on. The next is Cesaro. Obviously, Cesaro, much like Mickie James, has been stuck in a rut. Cesaro has been a face. I mean, he has been a heel, I should say, for years. I honestly do not remember the last time Cesaro was a babyface. I honestly could not remember. It has to be at least since he won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And they turned him heel almost immediately after that. I don't think he's been a face since. He has been in all heel tag teams. The Real Americans or whatever the hell with Jack Swagger, that was a heel team. The Bar was a heel team. This team with Shinsuke Nakamura was a heel team. We need I guess the best way to explain what we need is to give it to give it a spot. We need an enforcer, the Benoit spot, and I think that Cesaro is perfect for that role. The Chris Benoit, physical baby face that goes in there, beats the hell out of the heel, and I would love for them to revisit his feud with Sami Zayn. Now that Sami Zayn is the Intercontinental Champion, and now that they also have sort of a built-in story with Sami and Cesaro, having been partners at one time, and Cesaro actually helping Sami win the title in the first place, you could revisit those matches, because that was really some of the matches that put NXT on the map, was the Cesaro Sami Zayn matches. Why not just bring that to SmackDown? It's not like Sami Zayn has much going for him other than the inevitable feud with Kevin Owens. So why not just turn Cesaro face and give Cesaro a decent run, at least as an opponent for Sami Zayn? I think that would be really fun. I think it would really freshen up his character, because he really kind of needs to be freshened up. He needs something new. Also needs something new with Bobby Roode. The Bobby Roode has really sort of run his course with this whole Dolph Ziggler thing. Now, a lot of people's answer to everything is just send him to NXT. I really only have that answer twice, you know. But Bobby Roode is a guy who I think is, he's a phenomenal heel. So I wouldn't say turn him face. What I would do is I would turn him on Dolph, and I would have like a short, maybe a short to medium sized program between him and Dolph, where he gets to show off how good he is as a heel by himself. Now on SmackDown, there's not a lot of room. Again, with Roman Reigns being the top heel, there's not a lot of space for you to go. As it's either number two, a distant number two, by the way, and everything after that. So the number one spot is actually kind of open, but as far as baby faces are concerned, but heels, oh man, it's Roman and nothing else. It's far afield after Roman, because no one's going to surpass him as being the top heel. But that doesn't mean that you can't be a solid heel. And I think that a solid heel sort of pressing up against the Intercontinental Championship, or in a feud that's separate from the title, but very important and very personal, is exactly the sweet spot for Robert Roode. And I think he can do that very well. I think if you have him turn on Dolph, maybe, and just beat the dog shit out of Dolph, Dolph is good enough to get sympathy, And I think I may even said this on the SmackDown review. I want them broken up. Like, I really do want Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode broken up. Not because I don't enjoy them. It's just that I think it's kind of a waste of Bobby Roode's time. And as a guy who's in his upper 30s, he kind of needs to get as much of a run as he can. Like, he's a former U.S. champion, United States champion. So he had some single success, and he had a short feud with Randy Orton. So we know that he can do it. He can go. We just need to give him the space, and I think SmackDown can give him the space. But I really fear that he's just going to take John Morrison's spot as the guy who's doing jobs to Otis. That would suck so bad. That would suck so bad. But it's likely to happen. Okay, my next one is obviously Chad Gable, Shorty G. This is the one where I basically just say send him to the NXT. Because Chad Gable he's so lost in the shuffle that really, what could you do with him that you haven't already done? Now, you could tell somebody who's lost in the shuffle when the creative team doesn't remember whether they're a babyface or a heel. Like, Chad Gable turned heel on Matt Riddle, but he continued to hang out in babyface locker rooms and be a babyface in every other way, with the exception of Matt Riddle, who he beat up. So the office, the people backstage don't remember whether he's a babyface or a heel. So I think that the easiest thing to do is, if you're not going to team him up with Baron Corbin, which I don't like that idea at all. It could be one of those oddball pairings I was talking about before. But I think that one of the easy way to get Chad Gable over is to send him back to NXT and let him mill around in that North American Championship division. He's also under 205, so he could actually be a decent cruiserweight champion. He has potential in that role, but he needs to develop a personality, and he doesn't really have that at the moment. And maybe that's the WWE's fault for not giving him enough time, but he is a guy who, for all intents and purposes, has the physical skills. He just has to bring out the personality. And they haven't done a good job of fleshing that out yet. And it's been very difficult for a lot of people, because people really do think this guy is awesome. And I do too. I think that he's on the mat, he's awesome. We watched some really great matches. He kicked the doors in when he went to 205 Live. He went to 205 Live and had, two of the best matches that was ever aired on the show with Jack Gallagher. He was that good, that fast. So, and that's really what got him brought to SmackDown so quickly. And then his push got killed. I guess he stood in the ring with some bigger performers, and his push got killed. He has the abilities, the physical abilities. He just needs a mouthpiece or some type of personality that doesn't just say, oh, just do what Kurt Angle did. Because that's really what most people are saying. Most people who talk about Chad Gable are just like, just make him Kurt Angle. Like, you can't clone Kurt Angle. All right? You just can't. He has to be an individual performer. And the Shorty G thing actually did work for a little while. Contrary to popular belief. him trying to own being short actually did work. I saw the crowds actually reacting to him and getting into him. But now it's been so long, it's like, nah, it's over. Like it's over. It's time to send him back to NXT and let him grow a little bit more. And then maybe as the roster sort of thins out, as some of these older guys leave. I don't know how old this guy is. I'm pretty sure he's like in early 30s. So let some of the older people kind of fall off and slough away, and then maybe you could bring them back in a year or so. But you don't want to let him go. He's a blue chip prospect. You don't want to let him go. But it might be better for him to get a run in NXT. I just imagine how awesome his matches with like Kyle O'Reilly or Johnny Gargano or Finn Balor could be. They could be phenomenal. And since in NXT he doesn't need to have a big personality, it could work. It could work. So number one, obviously, is Shinsuke Nakamura, who I think is probably the most underutilized of everyone. He has been a heel for 3 years. At least, well, probably 2. He's been a heel for 2 years. 2 years straight. He has won every championship, the IC title, tag team title, US title. He's won everything except for one of the big W's. And he's a contender for those belts, and I understand he's English, second language. That's going to hold him back. But Shinsuke Nakamura, I think that if they turn him back face, you could also go back to the Sami Zayn matches. The same thing with Cesaro. You could go back to the Sami Zayn situation, which was Nakamura's breakout match in WWE. And you also have the option of, having him in there with Roman. Like, he's one of the few guys that I can say that's underutilized that probably could stand in there as a main event wrestler, and be legit. Because he won the Royal Rumble. He's won all these other titles. He's been a champion for a long period of time. Every year he's been on the roster. He just needs something. And I'm not sure what he definitely needs a manager. Because I think he has the charisma part all the way down, the mannerisms, everything. He just kind of needs, a mouthpiece. And I think that something as simple as him working opposite Paul Heyman can really help him. Because Nakamura didn't have to talk. Heyman could do all the talking. And Roman could do some of the talking too, because Roman can cut a promo. And I think that if he was to stand in front of Roman, it'd be legitimate. Even in this version of Roman, I think it'd be legit. Maybe he'd probably need a couple of wins. Maybe even win the IC title or something, in order to solidify that he's still at that level. But I think that he could be a legit contender for Roman if they really wanted to do that, even if it was just like a TV opponent. So the last one I would think of is actually a surprise, is Brian Kendrick, who is, yes, still under WWE contract, because I just saw a clip of him wrestling on 205 Live. I forgot this guy even existed, right? So he has been a stalwart on 205 Live for 4 years. He's been babyface there. He's been a heel there. They've done some of everything with him on 205 Live. I think that Brian Kendrick, as a guy with that independent pedigree, fits the NXT brand. But he's also an older performer. He's like early to mid 40s. And I also think that there is a natural storyteller, a story to tell there with him and Daniel Bryan. I think that him and Daniel Bryan are actually like friends, like best friends or something like that. And I kind of had this idea that maybe him versus Bryan would be fun, like once or twice. And then maybe them as a tag team, even though I know they go all the way back to like Ring of Honor and stuff like that. And SmackDown seems to be not shy about getting a little bit more personal, a little bit more interesting or complex with the stories. And I think that Daniel Bryan and Brian Kendrick can actually play off of each other very well. They know each other quite well. They was also both trained by Shawn Michaels. And I think that you could have him in that role on SmackDown as a good, what do they say? I don't want to say gatekeeper, because he didn't have that kind of credibility yet. But he could be a great, foil for Daniel Bryan. Or he could be a great opponent for like Undisputed Era, or, helping the young guys get over in NXT, which I know this pretty much is his job now in 205 Live. His job is pretty much to get over the young guys, which is fine, you know. But I always kind of figure like, you know, he's like such a huge what if. Like, what if he hadn't spazzed out after his tag team, you know, like when he was being pushed as the Brian Kendrick? You know, why if he hadn't spazzed out back then? How far could he have gone? I mean, he's already super small, like wiry and little, and you know, but they were interested in pushing him. You know, he was in that big scramble match where they actually say, "Oh, he won the WWE title." It's like, not really, not really, not at all. But he was sort of in that mix, you know, and obviously he can't be there anymore, you know. But that doesn't mean that he can't be a legitimate player on the roster. He can't do more on the roster than, you know, lose matches on 205 Live. I mean, he's got some microphone skills. He has some pedigree. People would believe in it if you give it some time. So I think, you know, and what I mean by that is if you put him in the right spot, it'll be believable. You know, you put him in the right spot with the right people, and I'm pretty sure he has the skills to get it over, especially the physical skills, especially when he told, like, basically this Rocky story when he was in the Cruiserweight Classic, that this is my last chance and all that type of stuff. I would love that. I would think that would be great. And I think that he can be better than just a roster filler. You know, which is pretty much all of these people are basically just roster fillers at the moment. And all of them have talent, you know, but the WWE is full of talent. So thank you guys for listening. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, donate to the channel, and let me know who you think are the most underutilized wrestlers on the roster and what should we be doing with them. And I know that most people answer are going to be, oh yeah, this guy's underutilized, send him to NXT. Oh, this guy's underutilized, send him to NXT. This guy, you need to just be fired. You know, I was trying to be a little bit more optimistic than that, because, you know, sending guys to NXT and firing them, if you actually put some effort into it, you can actually reheat a lot of these burritos. But thank you guys for listening, and I'll talk to you guys.